The prompt asks, what's a moment in your creative journey that almost made you quit? It was actually very, very early on in my creative journey where I had this moment. I had a mentor at the time, and the nigga a genius, okay, bottom line. And he was like showing me all of the aspects of cinematography. And a lot of it I already knew. But then that nigga started talking about the science behind cinematography, the mathematics, this law, that law, the degrees that you're separate. Like, it was like, I remember sitting there learning all that stuff, and I was just like, yo, is this really what I want to do? Because math is not my strong suit. And it was really, I went home that day, and I was like, man, I think I'm good. I think I'm good to go on this cinematography stuff because I didn't believe in myself to be able to understand the science behind it all. I was debating on just joining the military because before I even decided that I wanted to go to school to study cinema, in my mind it was just like, okay, graduate high school, go to the military. My mom was in the Navy. I'll do that too. Make money, travel the world, woo-dee-woo. And so that's kind of what was playing in my mind. And then a commercial came on TV. And can't remember the commercial, but it was just a commercial. And I remember watching it and I felt the fire burning inside of me. And that's when I realized, like, oh, this is real. Like, this is something that's deeply rooted within me. And I could very well go and join the military and make that shake, but like, I'm always going to watch TV and want to do that. You know what I mean? Because it was getting to a point where I was watching commercials and I was getting inspired, or I was watching commercials and I was like, oh, like breaking down how they were shooting it, not the lighting, because I wasn't even there yet. In my creative process, I wasn't there yet to be able to look at a lighting and be like, oh, they put, But as far as like shot composition and shot angles, yeah, I was eating that shit up. And like I said, that's how I knew that this career that I had sought out and kind of chosen, the passion for it was never going to go away. And in that moment, it was like, I could either run away from this and spend all my life thinking about, oh, what if, or if I just would have, I could have spent the rest of my life in an amalgamation of ifs, or I could take what was being given to me at the time, a mentor that knew his stuff, that had, the technology to be able to like recreate what's in his mind and just his overall comprehension of the craft itself. Like, that's a jewel. Mind you, at that time, I'm fresh out of college, so I'm like 23, 24. You know what I mean? To be able to luck up and have a mentor that was as skilled as he was at that young of an age as I was, it's just like, I would have been stupid to throw that away or to run away from that. And it was that day where I was just like, you know what? I'm going to keep it pushing. Like, I'm going to pursue this craft and I'm going to be great at it. I'm going to be, I'm going to go as high as I possibly can. And I did. And here I am now 6 years later with, a plethora of films underneath my belt. Obviously, the early ones weren't all that great, but the stuff that I have been creating as of like maybe the last year, that stuff is to my standard, which is what matters to me. And I feel myself flourishing so much more in it every day, one of the things that I love so much about cinematography is that it reminds me of track. My sister played track. I mean, play track. My sister ran track when she was little. So did my mom. And like every time they have the trials, not just the Olympic trials, but whatever championship or whatever, if my mom can catch it, she's locked in. And so over the years, I've just watched and became aware of what goes on in the track universe a little bit, a smidgen. And with track, it's really you against the clock. It's not even like you running against nobody else. If anything, that's like the fun part, But like the real deal to it is it's just you versus the clock. And if you can beat your previous time, that's all that really matters, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously there's golden times to beat, you know what I mean? But like, it's really you versus you at the end of the day. And cinematography very much has that same sort of vibe. Like, it really is you versus you. Like, of course, you could try to, the golden standard as far as, dang, I can't think of the dude's name. Because directors keep popping into my mind right now. What's Buddy's name? Hold on. There we go. Roger Deakins. Like, of course, Roger Deakins is a gold standard. There's a lot of gold standards, right? But like, they got there through just trying to beat themselves, you know what I'm saying? Like, and cinematography reminds me so much of track as far as like tenacity, and it really is you versus you. Like, you really are only as good as your last thing, you know what I mean? And it's like, and it's, I find it to be super competitive, like, I look at it as a competitive sport. Especially when, like, now that I have the understanding about film festivals the way that I do, like, film festivals really are the trials. Like, the whole point of, or I'm not gonna minimize it like that, but one of the points of a film festival is to compete. Like, you compete, you putting your best thing out there. Like, it don't make no sense to make a film where like, oh, this is missing, that is missing, and then you submit it to a film festival. Like, sure, you could place, you could do all that stuff, but it's like, festivals cost money, dog, to submit. Like, that's that ain't no cheap thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, one festival could easily be like $50 of a submission fee, and you talking about submitting this into 5 different festivals. You do the math, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so competitive, and I love it so much, and I'm so glad that I didn't let that one moment deter me in my life, because I wouldn't be doing what I am now, like, and I don't think I would have this sort of joy and this sort of passion in my life. Like, I would be sitting, I would get done doing my day job, and I would come home and I would look at films and TV shows and television commercials and still feel that burning inside me. I'm glad I didn't quit.